Hi, welcome back. Today I am going to have a muck around with this curved knife. It's a Mueller, just hunting knife. You can get them, they're fairly inexpensive, but it's got an interesting shape, and obviously we can't grind across that curved surface because it's not flat and it rises up, so it's only going to touch on the corners, as you can see by that. Well, hopefully you can see that. And so the way that I get around that is that I use the sides of the wheel. And here's how. So I will start as normal. I'll do the tip. I can do that, no problems. I can do some of that, no problems. I'll have to take this off because it interferes. But then I've got to use the side of the wheel to get this off. So explain a little bit better. Let's get this out of the way as well. So what has to happen is we use the side of the wheel to grind down along the edge. Now it means that there's more danger of gouging because these can be pretty sharp here. So the way that I try and minimize it is that I round the wheel off. And I use just my old grading stone, still good on the back, still got some great spots on the front here, and I'll just slowly grind a radius into the side of the wheel. You might lose 5 or 10% of your landing area, but that doesn't matter. Rounded wheels are useful when you're doing the inside of a filleting knife, for example, like this one. How do you get in there? Same way. Use the side of the wheel like that. You have to have a steady hand, otherwise you'll gouge it. And then on this side, like that, same way. So, I'll finish rounding these wheels off. I already started earlier. But I thought I might just finish in front of you because I wanted to make a few notes in case you're new to the channel. You may not have heard this one before. When you're grinding and shaping these wheels, they only spin at 100 RPM. That means that if you move this too quickly, you might be grinding or shaping one section but not another of the same at that same point around the wheel. So that manifests itself when you're grinding. You get, as the knife goes past, it makes grinding sounds over part of the wheel. And that you'll see heavier grinding spots along the bevel and finer, and then heavier and then finer. And that's caused by patches of roughness. That can be alleviated by not moving this too much. We're all guilty. I do it all the time as well. I catch myself. But that's how you do it. All right, is you leave it there and then you move it a bit. Make sure you get some revolutions in that spot. All right, can you hear it? There's one there. Now, you don't have to come too far over, but this top shoulder should be very smooth. And I usually start at a 45 and then I gradually move it around a bit. And that effectively gives you a bit more surface area on the wheel as opposed to a hard edge which would just cut it up into pieces. And then I always smooth it. Make sure that you leave these edges not rough like you would on the back, but the finest you can, because as you're using the edges, we'll use this as an extreme example. As you're using the edges, it helps, well, it doesn't help that they're already very sharp. It's a very sharp point. It's concentrating, grinding on a very small area. So you've got to move smoothly through there. And if it's rough, it makes it even worse. That's all. So make that as smooth as possible so that you can rub it nicely along there and it shouldn't have too much of a grinding effect, which means you can creep up on the edge that you want. Right? Wiping, wiping, wiping. So, and I know some of you old timers, you already know this, but this is for people who don't know. I think this channel I was hoping to think about it over the holiday periods, and I'm trying to find a direction. And I think if I stick to helping people who don't know what I know and just sharing what I know in case they don't know it and it helps them, then that's a good thing. Right? So at the risk of boring people who already know this stuff. But you wouldn't be here if you were bored, so let's carry on. Oh, that's right, we've already done that. So now we're smoothing. So I've got to find a chunky piece where there's still something left. I'm nearly through to the back stone in several areas, but I think this is pretty fat at the top here. You can hear how it sounds smoother. Now you might be interested to know that I do most of my sharpening on the finest setting. The only time I go to a coarser setting is when the blade is really chipped, like a global or something like that that's had a hard life, and we really need to restore that edge. Or I have ground the edge on the machine, on the big sander, and so now the edge is completely flat and it needs new beveling. Well, you could waste a lot of time on a smooth wheel, and so I use a rough wheel then. I roughen it up just temporarily. The knife then smooths the wheel back down to a finer setting by itself, especially if it's a hard knife. So you'll find on those globals that I was just talking about that I'll start off rough on the 80 grit, and then when I get to the I don't even need to put the 320 on, because the global knife is so hard that it's taken those grains off and it's reverted back to its smooth state. And a 1000 grit, which is where this is on the smooth state, not the smoothest. I got the 1000 plate there, I don't use that much anymore. I find and have found that the 1000 setting is the perfect finish for even the best knives. It's got a little bit of bite, but not much. I mean, you know, I know that people talk about it. See how I was moving that too fast? I caught myself again. But I'll leave that in because it's a lesson, right? Who hasn't done that? Slow it up. It's because we're used to high-speed grinders, where by the time you do that, many revolutions have gone past, whereas this is quite slow. You know, you can see the label going around. It's like a record playing. Okay, now that feels nice and smooth. And because this knife here is not in very bad condition anyway, it's just going to need a sharpen just to make sure it's sharp. We don't need the roughness at all. There's no chips to remove. So let's have a look. A bit windy today, they said. So that looks good. I can wipe it down here. And then by the time I get to here, I'm on the flat, staying on the flat, and then bringing the tip up if I'm coming that way, or starting at the tip, I can bring it down on the wheel, on the flat, now on the corner, staying on the corner, and finishing on the corner. Now, normally, in order to get a smooth heel or back of the edge, we pause for a moment. But if we're not careful, we might grind that little knob off, and that's a very attractive little knob on there. I like it. So let's give it a go. I haven't done the angles yet. So being a hunting knife, I'm going to give it 40. Okay, that needs to come down. Have a good Christmas. It's actually Christmas Day here in Australia. Late afternoon. And for once, it hasn't been a steaming hot day for Christmas. Not here in Adelaide anyway. The climate changed for Christmas in 2023. It'll change again tomorrow. So, straight into it. I'm wearing the wrong glasses, but I know where I am. And the water tells you where I'm focusing the grind. Yeah, it's crunchy. No good. That's a bit too rough. And you could hear it was pulsing, which means I didn't clean it all the way around. I must have moved the stone too much. So we'll leave that in too, because that's educational. Let's try getting some 320 on there. Okay, hopefully that'll be a bit better. Get the right glasses. How was that? I'm curious to see. I'll show you. So you can see that even with all that noise and bother, it wasn't really that bad, was it? I didn't chunk it away or anything. But you can see that I am, hang on, let me get a flash going. A bit hard here under this lighting, but you should be able to see that I haven't established anywhere near the bevel yet. Right, that was a very fast pass, and it looks like it's going to be a brand new angle. A little bit steeper than before, which means it might have been maybe a 50 originally. That's interesting. I always thought they were supposed to be 40. See, that's much better. That looks nice. And before they all meet up at the apex for a party at the top, I'll do the other side. And the reason I come back in is because it's easier to smooth that way instead of finishing there. Whereas if you're wiping it down, it can smooth that back a bit. but that looked great as well. So we'll give that another one. Needs to slow down around this corner. It's often easy to go fast around this corner, but don't forget, each piece of metal needs its own time on the grinder at the same. So if you're on a big flat piece and that's going all the way across the wheel, well, by the time that piece there has gone all the way across the wheel, that's a long time. If you're coming around the corner, those pieces are not getting that much amount of time, so you've got to slow down and account for the corners, and that way it should end up nice and even. Hope that makes sense. Don't be scared of the tip. These are more resilient than you think, especially at the 1000 grit level. So this is the corner I'm talking about. Slow down, take your time there. Get on the flat, don't move the knife, and now tilt the knife to catch that corner. Oh, that looks magnificent. Nice. Oh, getting some burr as well. Beautiful. Now you might be thinking that I'm over grinding, but wait till you see the bevel and then judge. Not finished yet, but I mean, that's looking pretty good. There it is. Pretty even. Certainly not all gouged out and weird. See that knob on the back still there? The apex has not been met, and you can see that shiny bit right there at the top. That's telling us that's old edge. I am that guy, right? That's me. And then at the top, that's the old edge. That's why you've got to go slow around those corners. That was cool. That was cool. I'm glad we caught that. Okay, well, those seem to be finishing off quite nice. I probably don't need to come back in on that edge. So I'm going to stay in the one fluid motion. Starting to get a burr everywhere, which means we're at the top on one side, but still lacking on this side. I forgot to slow down around the corner. Hopefully we got it though. Alright, I can still see a little bit. See if we can capture it again. So, that's me. And there it is. See it at the top right here? So that's the old edge of the apex that's still existing. Think of it as like snow on the top of the mountain, and that's me creeping up on it there. So old, new. Slow down around those edges, Baz. The corners, I mean, the corners. So from here, slow. Hang in there. Stay with it. And then if you're happy with the rest of it, you can zoom through, as long as it doesn't make a new bevel. If you're on the same angle, which is what this helps us with, should be getting one even continuous bevel all the way around. And I cannot see any shine on the top anywhere. Yeah, look. Okay, so that's, where am I? That's me. That's the top, see? Full darkness. This is where we were before. That's me. Hang on, let's get the shine right. Okay, so that's me. And the top no shiny anymore, no matter how much we rotate it. Let's check on this side. Beautiful tip for those who don't like the dive bomb technique. It still works. Try it, you might like it. And by dive bombing, I don't know if you know, but I mean bringing it in like that. Tip first. Now that is actually a good burr. Could be a little bit stronger on the top, so I'm going to take advantage of that and see if any of these bevels seem uneven, because this is a pretty fat knife and it may rock those bevels, but they look pretty even to me. I'm happy with that. I'll give them one light pass. How does that feel? That's got some roughness to it there, so I'm going to try and straighten that out a little bit. That's with a 320. A lot of you are asking where to get this. I've got a few here, but I really couldn't be bothered. Go to eBay and try and find the ones with the foam backing. That's the only clue I can give you. They seem to last the longest. When it goes rusty like that, means you're down to the steel. But these have lasted me for many, many, many months since I first did the video. And the original ones that I used wore out straight away. So as soon as I got these, I knew that we were on a winner. So look for the foam backing, that's I think the clue, and they should last a long time. That feels much better. Let's give it one last run. Now I'm on the radius. You don't have to come all the way around, just as long as you're going to need an edge of some sort. And or really what you need is to have the rest of the wheel out of the way while you're grinding. So if you can just put a slight chamfer on this, that may be enough. You don't have to do a full rounding, but I would anyway, because these edges can get very sharp and dangerous as far as keeping a beautiful bevel goes. So just a little bit of an angle there lifts the knife up and gets it all out of the way of all the rest of this grinding wheel, and should be enough. Same on this side. So this is the area here. You can tell by the water where I am. All right. No hat today because it's in the wash. That is a great burr, nice and strong all the way around. Tip's good, meets up in the middle. Goes all the way, looks beautiful. The side. Nice and even. And that's how you do it. So now I'm going to take that burr off, because as we know, under the burr is the edge. Or more specifically, under a good strong burr is the edge. Okay. Oh, and look at this. My Veritas honing compound is coming to its final days. Every movie that we've done up till now, which is about 370 of them, has used the bar that I actually got with the machine, so it was already half used. It wasn't that much bigger. It was only about that big when I first got it. We'll have to look back at the original videos. And it's just about to finish, but we'll see how long we can get from it before we put it to rest. So we find the burr. Burr is always at the top first up. We don't attack the burr, we attack the back of the burr. Because it weakens its grip on the parent metal. And then when we do finally attack it, it falls off easier. I'm not pushing down too hard, only just hard enough to control the knife, because it wants to run away, that way. I reckon that's it. Ow! They just bit me. nice. Look at that. Yeah. All right. Let's just see if that's straight. Not straight, but smooth. Yep. Well, let's see if it cuts. Jimmy. Let's have a look at that. Woohoo! That's pretty bloody sharp. So the Mueller 90004. A great knife. And very sharp now. That's how you do the curved edges. Hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next one.